Hello, MICHAEL MUSILLAMI. I am happy that I can meet you here on this video. Not far away, we will meet in real here in Südburgenland for a concert with a trio. And maybe you wouldn't expect how I start, but when we met the last time, it was a long time ago, we had several talks, and you told me about your private life. And I know that you are not only teaching, you are a lot with young people, and you was father of several children. And I would like to know, still, are you in a family and there are young people, or they went out, they are still on studying, or are you still in connection with children and youngsters?
Well, I am, Udo. You know, I come from a large Italian family. Of my mother's had 7 children in her family, as well as my father's side. So I had big family coming up, a lot of cousins, etc. So that mode of life was appealing to me. It felt natural. So my wife Robin and I have been married a little over 20 years now, and she came to the table with 5 children, and I was married prior to that, and I had a child then, stepchild. So at one point in my house, we had 6 children. From in those days, it aged from 9 years old to 25, and so it was how must I say, beautifully chaotic. And you know how it's almost like music when you have a house full of kids going in different directions, or teenagers, etc. Is that it's like jazz music or inventive music and creative music, where you you have to adapt, and you have to survive, and you have to push forward through it. And it's all about improvisation, really. It's just trying to make things that shouldn't go together go together. But those kids have all grown up now, and none are in the house anymore. They're all out living their own lives, and we see each other often. We have grandchildren now. I have 4 grandchildren from my son Ryan, and then from the rest of the kids, we have 3 youngsters now, 3 young girls under the age of 5. So they stay at our house once or twice a week, and I'm totally connected to them all the kids. It's a big part of my life. And then I teach school too. I teach at a place called the Hodgkiss School, and I've been there. I'm the oldest employee. I've been there 41 years.
Wow.
And yeah, isn't that something? I've been there 41 years, man. And one would think somebody who would teach at an institution like this, it would be a burden. But the school has afforded me the opportunity to write music and perform music. And I run a jazz ensemble there where I write my charts out and they play my music. And I feel that I've been blessed to have that as a composer, and to be around youngsters like that is that they play my music, man. And some of them are 15 years old. So I get to hear my charts. I get to interact with youngsters with an energy that I can't find anywhere else. And, you know, it keeps me young and it keeps me active. And then from that point on, I'm still playing with the same cats these days that I have for the past 2 decades, George Schuller and Joe Fonda, among other players too.
I want to ask you some more about the pupils and students and young people.
Yes.
I know that you are teaching in the Hodgkiss School. Is the name?
Hodgkiss School. It's originally an American boarding school.
Yeah.
And it's a small school. It's 550 students. And over the past, I don't know, maybe 10 years, it's kind of reshaped its focus, and it's now a global school. And so we have kids from all over the world. Of these 500 kids, I bet more than half of them come from other countries. So it's a diverse school in every aspect, whether it be the culture, the music, academia. It's quite a place. And some years ago, an ex-student who did quite well in life decided that Hotchkiss School should have a first-rate music program. So they've offered up $20 million for a music facility. And the school is a very wealthy school. They match this. So we have a music facility second to none, with concert hall, recording studios, practice rooms, grand pianos. It's really wonderful.
My question would be is like this, that on the one side, when you are teaching, does it influence your playing? For example, not enough time, getting too conservative maybe on the one side. The second is, I have a meaning about the schoolish jazz music now in Europe. It is not the positive thing. It is getting very, how do you say, narrow. It's getting so much influenced by the rhythm music, yeah. The how do you say, the songbook, or how you call it, the songbook. And so my question is, how do you handle it? Because you play your own music, and how is this relationship between teaching, school, students? You told already a little bit, but what is going on in your life about these relationships?
Well, in 2006, I've been at the school since 1983, but in 2006, when this new music facility was being built, I was offered the position of running some kind of a jazz ensemble, for lack of a better term. And I didn't want to do it because I wasn't interested in stock arrangements like most schools do, just because of time, etc. They have to almost check the boxes and say, okay, we have jazz, we're going to do Duke Ellington, we're going to do Louis Armstrong, we're going to play these kinds of things. And with all due respect to all those great predecessors of mine, for me to put my time and energy into a young ensemble, it would have to be my ensemble. And so first off, I said I didn't want to do this unless I could do it my way. So they said, okay, you can do it your way. And my way is to write inventive music, my melodies, my harmonies. And these youngsters they're fairly good musicians where they can read what I put down. But as you stated in your question, is how do you get youngsters to improvise and be inventive like this with no training? So what I do is, anybody who wishes to learn how to improvise, if they want to go to that next step, they meet with me once a week with that in mind. So sometimes we play free. Youngsters play free. How about that? You know, I tell them to pick their favorite note, and then pick their second favorite note, and I want you to invent with that. So I give them very little bit of tools so that they don't get bombarded with too much information in the beginning, because for me, a youngster needs to have the emotional connection to it. Otherwise, it's an academic exercise, and I'm not interested in that right now. Later on, maybe there's some influence that I can go with academia, but I need to get them here in the heart, in their emotions. And if I can get them to connect to the music emotionally, then I can get them to invent. And that's how I've approached it since the beginning. And Udo, it's surprising to me, because I had never done this before with youngsters, to try to get them to learn how to improvise. But you know what? It happens, and it happens in a beautiful way. You see it happen. You see the spark go on when they say, man, I'm playing these three notes. And it's a 20-piece band, so it's an exciting group. And when they hit a couple of notes that work, you can see that there's somebody patting them on the back. You know, they hear that connection and they say, okay, I got to do this some more. So I have 15, 16-year-old students, man, improvising free music. They play written parts because I need that too. But as far as the inventive part of this, youngsters are playing, man, and it's about emotions for me, and it's about confidence for them, building that confidence to try it, to not be afraid to fail. And once they do that, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I think there has to be 2 or 3 facts into it. The one fact is that you have to be there with your full heart.
Yeah.
Yeah? And
Yep.
maybe a second fact is that you as a teacher, you are still in the, I would say, in the modern jazz avant-garde.
Yep. Yep.
You are there. So
Yep.
this will be another question because I know this trio, all 3 of you quite well. Not, of course, with Joe FONDA, I am most connected.
Right.
But when I look at this trio, yeah, it is really funny because starting with George, with his very famous father also, who was, I don't know, connected with all over the jazz world in the States. Then you was playing, for example, with Randy Brecker, Joe FONDA playing, and so on with I don't know, with so many people in the history who was important in the jazz history. For example, like Billy Bang or Mark Feldman, who's playing, and so on. What does it mean for the music? Is it does it mean making you flying to be into this history, like in a nest, yeah? Or does it mean chains that you have to go out all the time? Or does it support you in everything you are doing? Is it a wall you are running against again and again?
So
what does this big history in your band mean?
What does the history of this band mean? I mean, for me, it the influence of different types of musicians, whether they're famous or not famous players, directly influences all of us. I mean, it's whether we're playing music that is in line with some of the artists that we've played down the line, Mark Feldman, you mentioned, this kind of thing. To me, it just adds to it. It adds to the information. You know, I mean, yeah, I play with Randy Brecker, but what we played in 1992 is a memory, a fond memory, and a building block for me of experience and confidence. And you know, I was honored to be able to do those things, though I guess I'm not there anymore. And I'd probably say that mostly for George and Joe too. Though I don't know how straight ahead those guys, how Joe and more George, I would guess. But I mean, Joe's been into inventive music for a long time, much longer than me. You know, I came up straight ahead. And 25, 30 years ago, I said I wanted to make a change because I needed new information and new stimulus. And so I came up very legit, academia. And it became a binding to me. And I felt like it was too academic and not instinctual enough. And I mean, that's just my story. I mean, everybody gets to make that choice in their journey, but that's how it worked for me. And being around cats too. I mean, Joe and I have known each other forever since my whole adult life. So he's been an influence on me, and everybody I've played with has been an influence on me. You know, my
friend, the instinct or the emotion. This is one important question I want to put up.
Yeah.
It is like this. Somehow the music you are playing in this trio has to do a lot with groove. Yeah. And for me, it's like this, that George is, for me, in this modern jazz, one of the most impressive swing players. I mean, he is really swinging like other people are eating a bread or something like this. Joe FONDA anyway has the image of a groover, and I think Anthony Braxton said something about him. He is breathing this music, and you are also into this very complicated. I was looking in the vocabulary book, interlaced rhythms, and so this is, I think, a very special thing. And when I listen your music, the way you play the guitar, I can recognize very, very clear. It is the Musillami music. what does it mean for you, this groove or these rhythms or these interlaced rhythms, these complex polyrhythmic things and so on, what you're doing?
For me, about 25 years ago, I realized that invention, at least in my mind during those days, was coming from the rhythm section. You know, so for so many years, we've always looked to that front person, you know, through the 60s and Coltrane, blah, blah, blah. Cats in the front, cats in the back swinging, playing time. But there started to be a shift, in my opinion, where the rhythm section, no matter who's inventing in front of that rhythm section, the rhythm section was trying to take control. And what that did is open up a lot of rhythmic ideas for me, where you have people playing in different time signatures during the same time. And it sets up its own kind of environment. Rhythm can set up its own environment with lack of harmony. You know, have three drummers playing different things, all relating to each other. Switch out two of the three drummers and put a guitar in there and put a bass player in there, and you have the same thing. Joe's very rhythmic bass player. I'm a rhythmic guitar player. You know, so at times we shift, you know, where rhythm is in the forefront. And but even when the pulse isn't there, it's still there. It's hiding. It's like a rattlesnake under a rock, man. It's right there at any given moment. Be able to shift its head. Those fangs come out, you know. And that's, for me, that's one of the most exciting things of playing in this trio, is that we can shift our rhythmic ideas on a dime, really, really quick. And because we have confidence in each other, and we played together so long that we can all join the same process. We can all join in the same covered wagon. We're going to go with George's covered wagon. No, we're going to go on Joe's covered wagon. We're going to go on we're going to tie our wagons together. And all those things are different rhythmic concepts that happen instinctually on the bandstand. But so groove is a big part of this thing. Mm-hmm. Not so much of a consistent groove, where it's like staring at a white wall, where you don't see anything anymore.
Maybe you can say the emotional groove, because there's a lot of emotions all the time.
There you go.
It is
that's a big part of it.
Emotions into,
Yeah, it is. Emotion is a big part of it, Udo, you know. And of course, you know this firsthand, that when cats are up there playing there, and whether it's rhythmically or harmonic or whatever the intention is, it being instinctual, you're not actually thinking about it. And that's where the emotional part comes in, you know. So you're not saying, man, I'm in the key of B flat major and I got two flats. None of that is happening. It's all about speech, musical speech. It's not about making sure everything is okay, because being not okay is okay. And that itself, chaos sets up its own environment. And so what we do is we react to those different kinds of environments we can set up, whether it's rhythmic, harmonic, or a combination of the two things.
Yeah. I mean, I read a lot of interviews with you, and all about jazz, for example. And it is everywhere written this unique music you are doing.
Thank you.
For me, it's like this, in the world, there are very little parts, they are white, where you have to go to explore. Yeah. Yeah. And in the jazz world, everything is full of trees and grass, and everything is explored. But some little points where you are still going. I mean, you are still an explorer in this jazz thing. And so you explained a lot. Is there anything more you would say this is especially for this, into this unique music? Is there anything more you would say this is important?
I would. Well, I would, in the sense of you know, this is a group with a guitar and an upright bass and a drummer, but and I'm a big fan of if somebody wants to have different kinds of effects and those kinds of things, that's another color, and there's not anything wrong with that. But there's also something to be said about an acoustic trio that can generate energy and fire and emotion, and just play the straight instruments as we do. And because only reason I bring that up is because it's a rare thing these days. If you know, I try to see what other guys are doing, you know, whether it be a piano or guitar, whatever the instrumentation is. And oftentimes with guitar, I see a lot of pedals coming out and different effects. And I love the sound of those effects. All I'm saying is that we don't do that.
I know.
We just don't do that. We have to work for that power. We have to work really hard for that power. And you know, I just want to lay that out a little bit, that it's different. That's one thing that makes, I think, this guitar trio different than most other guitar trios that I hear playing this kind of music, not playing standard tunes. That's a different story.
Now, I know a lot about this music without any electronics. I like it very much. I know a lot about the music with a lot of electronics. You know, my son, for example, is
I know
too, but he is also playing without. And my friends like Paul Rogers on the 7-string bass and so on.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
And this time, I'm happy that you will come without any electronics, because then we can do an acoustic trio. I mean, we have a bass amp, we have a guitar amp. But we will do an acoustic trio on the 25th of November in Bummer, Gasthaus Bummer in Heiligenkreuz. And I hope we will have a nice day, good weather. You are in a good shape when you arrive here in Heiligenkreuz. And I am really looking forward, Michael.
Udo, I'm looking so forward to playing music with you and hanging out and give you a little hug and see if we can figure out life or another version of it in our likeness when we meet each other again, finally, after so many years. I look forward to seeing you, my friend.
And I think it will not be the last concert you play here in Heiligenkreuz. I think so.
I hope not. I hope there are many more, my friend.
So I wish you a good day, because you have now noon about. Greetings to your wife and to your children and grandchildren.
All the best to yours too. You know, give everybody a kiss on the head for me, please.
See you.
All right. Much love. Bye-bye.